Well, hello, my noble courtiers of the Royalist court. I have some exciting news about the real reason why, and I know this is a huge story with everything going on in the world right now, about why Meghan and Harry's photographs of them at Kris Jenner's 70th birthday disappeared from the internet. Yes, I know this is the story that is consuming news feeds around the world that we just have to know the answer to. And I can tell you now, it was at Harry and Meghan's request. Indeed, this is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. And if you can't handle the truth, well, I don't know what to tell you. To back up a little bit, Kris Jenner had a 70th birthday on Saturday night. It was the party of the season. It was at Jeff Bezos's $165 million mansion in Beverly Hills, a concept which I have to say I find totally disgusting. But there we are. That's just me. And I'm not a communist. All right. I'm into people being rich and having money. But do you really need to spend $165 million on your house? I mean, it's our own fault for buying stuff from Amazon, right? I have a delivery arriving later today, so I've no one to blame but myself. Well done, Jeff Bezos. Congratulations on your lovely, expensive house. Anyway, he decided to throw a 70th birthday party for Kris Jenner, to which essentially anybody who's famous, rich, and powerful attended. And if you weren't famous and rich and powerful, you were not going to attend. That's the only criteria that I can tell you. Everybody was there: Bill Gates, Mark Zuckerberg, Oprah, and Harry and Meghan, who were photographed very publicly arriving at the public arrivals entrance on the Saturday before Remembrance Sunday. So this caused a bit of a, well, we won't say it caused a controversy, but it didn't land particularly well in the United Kingdom that Harry was offered a party, being photographed, more to the point, not that he was at a party, but that he was allowing himself to be photographed arriving at this very glamorous party on the Saturday night when, Kate and Prince George were at the Festival of Remembrance, and the mood is pretty somber over that weekend in the United Kingdom for the whole Armistice Day, of course, was yesterday, Tuesday. Anyway, today, Wednesday, November the 12th, folks, there has been mystery building all week about why a bunch of photos of Harry and Meghan, not very flattering photos, I have to say, as you can see here. We're going to show you a couple of them because, as you know, the internet is forever. But these photos were disappeared from the internet. So we can see here, Harry, I mean, it's not the greatest look, is it? It doesn't really say international statesman. I don't know. Like, it definitely gives me some old style, lovable rogue moments, but it's not giving me massive international global statesman vibes, to be honest. Just as his brother is doing Dancing with the Stars, one does slightly wonder whether Harry and Meghan were sitting down to watch Dancing with the Stars 20th anniversary last night. I'm sure they probably were. And God knows what the conversation was like in Montecito when Big Brother William appeared in that video call to Robert Irwin, one of his key young, trendy Earthshot ambassadors and advocates. Anyway, back to the disappearing, vanishing photographs from Instagram. So, as you can see, quite a lot of these photographs made their way onto screens. This is all about how these photographs disappeared and vanished from our internet and social media feeds over the past few days. So what happened first of all was that Kim Kardashian posted some of the photographs. She posted actually a shot of her smiling with Meghan and Harry, a kind of posed shot that was taken down very quickly. I think there may have been a chance to screen grab it by our clever producer, but I'm not entirely sure. And then there were these other photos of them in the background where they didn't look great, to be honest. And these have now also been taken down. So there's been a lot of speculation who asked for them to be taken down. Was it the party hosts wanted them taken down because they didn't want to show who they'd had there? Or was it Harry and Meghan who asked them to be taken down because they were trying to protect their privacy and didn't want to be photographed at the party, although they'd agreed to being photographed outside? So this is the row that has been going on between the two camps over the past few days. I can tell you now, spoiler alert, the Sussexes are saying that they asked for the photos not to be published. We don't have a comment from the Kardashian side, but we do know that it was a very wonderful, big, extravagant party, 007 themed, poker tables, roulette wheels, fireworks, Bruno Mars playing Uptown Funk. I mean, personally, I could have done without Bruno Mars playing up. If I ever hear that song again at a party, it'll be a lifetime too soon. But that's just me. So as is common with A-list events, and I'm sure all of you are very familiar with this protocol, when you go to a glamorous party hosted by billionaires, you are asked whether you consent to your image to being shared publicly afterwards, i.e. on social media. And I am told by the Sussexes side that they ticked a no box. They did not want to be seen on social media at the party. And one can well understand why, because of the whole juxtaposition with the Remembrance Day events that were going on back in the UK. And of course, Harry was wearing a poppy when he arrived. Meghan was not wearing a poppy. And we're told this is because she said that she had difficulty sourcing one in the United States. And to be fair, they are difficult to get overseas. You have to get one sent ahead of time by the British Legion, who are the charity who organised the poppy appeal in the United Kingdom. Although Harry, of course, had been in Canada 2 days before, where they are freely available in Commonwealth countries. So he would have easily been able to pick one up there. That, anyway, is largely beside the point. The fact is that Harry and Meghan clearly understood the sensitivity of the date. And I have actually defended their right to go to a party on Remembrance Weekend or the day before Remembrance Day or whatever you want to call it. But I think you can make a very good case that surely what people gave their lives for was our right to go about our business and attend parties and live freely. So I don't think there's any case to say they shouldn't have gone or shouldn't have attended. But I think correctly, they realised that it wouldn't be a good thing to have their images plastered all over the internet, having a gay old time with Oprah and all their rich billionaire mates, you know, who all live in Montecito. And by the way, all the tech barons were there, who Harry was just saying last week were, you know, dreadful and trying to steal our mind and our attention and ruin our children's lives. Anyway, you know, these things happen when you live in Montecito. One day you're slagging somebody off on a podcast. The next day you're having a drink and pulling a face and having a laugh and playing a game of poker or roulette for some pretend money. Because what's the point in playing for real money? Because you've got so much of it. Much more fun to play for pretend money or something. I don't even know what they were playing for. So the source told me the guests were asked beforehand if they wanted to be photographed inside. Harry and Meghan ticked the no box, but the event organisers didn't properly communicate the preferences. The photographs were posted, and then somebody, not clear who, but I suspect it might have been Harry and Meghan's people, noticed that the pictures were online and they were swiftly removed. I'm told that Harry and Meghan weren't particularly bothered. I wonder if they were not particularly bothered, why the pictures did then end up being removed. But hey, whatever. So what's been really interesting to me is how this has spawned a kind of massive online discussion on Reddit, on my own Substack channel. There's been a lot of conversation about it. Some people saying it's a snub because the images came down. The Kardashians must be distancing themselves. Well, I'm afraid that argument struggles against basic facts, because why would you invite somebody to your party if you then weren't prepared to photograph them? This bleeds into conspiracy theory too. That in fact, Harry and Meghan were gate crashers, that they weren't invited, that they showed up, and that's why the pictures were removed. I'm not sure you can gate crash a party that Zuck and Bill Gates are at. I don't know if that's really possible or very easy. It's control freakery. It's control freakery on Meghan's side. She didn't look flattering in her dress. Her dress had too high a neck or too tight a waist or something. I'm no clothing expert. I'm repeating what other people are saying. Another interesting theory, of course, was that it's all about the poppy, that Meghan realised that she wasn't wearing the poppy in the photographs and asked for the pictures to be taken down. All of these, of course, are considerably more interesting than what I do understand is the real story, that it was a preference that you gave before and that someone missed the correct box or whatever, or didn't think, probably some poor, underpaid intern posting pictures accidentally posted the wrong thing. And then I imagine got an earful and rapidly took it down. But the funny thing is, of course, okay, so I can hear everybody out there saying the Streisand effect, the Streisand effect. Now, for those of you who can remember the days of the Streisand effect, it's the theory that suing somebody for saying something about you draws much more attention to the allegation than just letting it go in the first place. And I think that actually the real lesson here is that the biggest mistake that you can make these days is to try and cover up your digital tracks because they cannot be covered. And as soon as you start doing it, it invites these kind of conspiracy theories. So if you really think about this, if those photos had just gone out and gone on, right, it was slightly embarrassing for a few hours. They probably would have been shared on Reddit. Maybe the Daily Mail would have done a little online post about Harry pulling a silly face. And indeed, it is a very silly face, but it's, also quite relatable and quite human. That would have been the end of it. Instead, you pull the photos, you invite a conspiracy, you have people start giving all their opinions about who's the control freak, who's the narcissist, who's this, who's that. Is it a snub? Is it not a snub? And you've created basically a whole problem out of nothing. I think obviously that Harry and Meghan thought that they were doing the right thing. There were pre-agreed boundaries. They ticked the box, say, no, we don't want to be on social media after the event. And they thought that was that. So I do understand why they might have been tempted to lobby for that or just send a quick email asking for the pictures to be taken down. But I do think also it's a great mistake because you just can't put the toothpaste back in the tube, as PR executives used to say, especially digital toothpaste. And I apologize for mixing my metaphors. The other question that is interesting is if they didn't want to be photographed at the party, why did they go at all? And I think it is important to understand that this was a huge party and not being included, not being invited to that party would be like the kiss of social death. Like if you're not invited to that party, you are a no one and nothing burger. You are so far off the screen, off the stage as to not count. So it was important for them to go. I think probably the mistake that they made was using the public entrance so that they were photographed coming in. Plenty of people came to that party via the private entrance and were not photographed going in. So obviously they allowed themselves, they must have ticked yes for will you allow yourself to be photographed during arrivals. So as much as their side may say they ticked no, we don't want to be photographed while we're inside, they did obviously tick yes, we do want to be photographed arriving. We do want the world to see that we have been invited to this party, that we are part of the set, that we are not these hermits living in Montecito who never get invited anywhere. This is a very clear statement that this is a couple who are on maneuvers, who wish to have, nurture, and increase their public profile. And I think that perhaps a more elegant way of doing it, if you actually rewind the story and imagine they ticked no, we want to arrive by the private entrance. No, we don't want to be in any social media posts. And they'd arrived via this private entrance, but then been in the background of some of the posts just accidentally. And everybody 3 days later gone, oh my God, Harry and Meghan were there. Would that not have been quite a bit cooler? I don't know. I think it might have been. So anyway, very interesting. The other big story that broke last night is that Harry's hacking case is in big trouble. There's a extremely shady private investigator called Gavin Burrows, who unwisely, in my opinion, Harry's action against the Daily Mail, accusing them of bugging his car, bugging his voicemails, and various other awful intrusions into his privacy, seemed to have been based on a testimony given by Gavin Burrows. Burrows has now, in a second statement, recanted the first statement and claimed that his signature is forged on it. So it's really interesting. I have to say, as a journalist, I very much hope that this doesn't lead everybody to not go ahead with this blockbuster trial that is scheduled for January next year, because obviously we want to hear all the ins and outs and all the inside story of these incredible hacking allegations and what Harry said happened. I have to say, I think this is a serious blow for Harry's case. So I've had a look at Burrows' statement, and he just basically completely refutes it. He's not how can I put this diplomatically and without being sued? I mean, he's not somebody that I would launch an entire massive legal suit on the basis of what he says, because I think he is a bit shady, and I think it was probably, I think Harry has slightly fallen into the trap of lawyers whipping up business to whip up fees for themselves. And I do wonder if the wheels came off. Obviously, if the wheels did come off of this case, it would be a crushing blow for Harry after the crushing blow of losing his legal case, looking for his security to be restored, which even his own team now admit was an ill-advised venture and that he was never going to win, because it wasn't really ever a legal decision. It was a political decision. As I've often explained, it's not about the rights and wrongs of security, the moral rights and wrongs of Harry's, as he sees it. It's about the politics of the whole thing, which is a very different matter. So it's probably not been a great 48 hours for Harry. And I think that next time it'd be better just to tick no to all the boxes of whether you want to be photographed arriving, photographed leaving, photographed at the party. And if a photo pops up with you in it, maybe don't make such a big fuss about it, because do you know what? If they hadn't made a big fuss about it, nobody would have cared less. Thanks very much for watching. I'm very excited to say that I am approaching 10,000 subscribers on YouTube, which is super exciting. So to celebrate getting 10,000 subscribers, I would like you, please, on our next, we're going to do a live, hopefully in the next few days, once we hit that 10,000, and we're going to have a sort of Ask Me Anything. And I don't know, we'll have to ask producer Ben how we're going to decide which questions we ask and which questions get answered. But I'm sure he'll devise some cunning method, and we'll give you all special emojis if you give us good questions. Okay, so thanks very much, and please don't forget to share this video, to like this video, to subscribe to the channel, and get us to that magic 10,000 when we'll have the Ask Me Anything. Thank you so much. Bye.